Right, this is the boiler, Quantec HR28C. I'm just going to go and turn on the hot water tap in the bathroom and see if this responds. All of the pipes going to or from the boiler are stone cold. So let's have a look. I can hear water flowing, but the boiler hasn't responded. I'm sure you can see the display. I'm going to turn the hot water tap off and on a couple of times. It does spur it into action. Off and back on. I'm not sure if that's because I just opened up the tap a bit further, not much, but it has activated. Now, if I remember correctly, as soon as you ask for hot water, the flame should be on high, and it's on low. Well, that's what it's indicating anyway. I can hear the boiler. Just. Right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn down the flow on the tap slightly. It's probably half the flow. Check the temperature of these pipes. I don't feel any different, but well, actually, I'd say they're all stone cold apart from the second one from the left, which is the hot water outlet. That's definitely not as cold as the other ones. And it was cold before I switched the tap on, so I would suggest that some slightly warm water is flowing out. Now, when I've tried this before, I've had the boiler just stop trying to heat the hot water and go back to sort of its standby mode, you know, as if nothing is being asked of it. So, yeah, this second pipe is definitely slightly warmer, but the left-hand one, which is central heating flow, according to the manual, if I've got this right, and the right hand one, which is the central heating return, they're both stone cold still. Yeah. I'll give it some time. Yeah. Oh, we're up to 33 degrees. Yeah, that second, the hot water out is definitely warming up slightly. Interesting. It's now stopped with no change to the tap. Having said that, the flow is reduced further, so I'll open it up again. I'm not quite sure why that was. It's reduced to a trickle. Still, the boiler doesn't respond. Let's see if let's leave it a moment. Right, okay, so I didn't change anything on the tap there, and it's just, obviously it's kicked back into life. So it's either delayed or temperamental. I'll take the camera closer just to see if I can pick up on any noises. Sorry about the picture. Couple of car bits. Well, perhaps that's enough. Well, the needle on the dial there is pretty much still at 1 bar. Slight sort of flicker to it, but certainly not fluctuating. Well, let's see. We're at 20 degrees still, and it's still on low. It's still trying. Very hard to tell if there's any temperature change on the central heating pipes at all. I would say no. Not that I can tell. But that hot water outlet, domestic hot water outlet pipe, this one, has definitely warmed up compared to what it was. And the others haven't changed. I'm fairly certain of that. Move something. Yeah, I think with a lower flow, now lower flow, and it's got a chance of getting above 20 degrees. I think before it just came to a standstill, the flow, and the boiler decided to stop. Right, I'll leave that a little while. Not sure if any of this helps at all. Yeah. Perhaps not, I don't know. So those two in the centre of the screen going through the floor, or three there actually, I believe the let me think a sec. I think the no, I'm getting lost now. I thought the two larger ones going through the floor were I don't know, I'm afraid. If I remember correctly, these three are gas and central heating flow and return, which goes down to the aqua air, which is directly below us downstairs. So these ones must be the new pipes that are teeing into or joining into old water pipes. Originally we had a warm air Johnson and Starley unit from the 80s, I'd imagine. It looked, probably came with the house in sort of early to mid 80s, and that was we had a hot water tank in here, the overflow tanks or whatever they are called up in the loft, which all that's been removed, and now we're operating off of the mains water with this setup, the Combi and the aqua. Right, I think I've probably bored you enough. Yeah, so this one is stone cold and hasn't changed. That's central heating flow, domestic hot water out. This has warmed up probably to about 30 degrees. So yeah, gas, these two are both stone cold as well, so it's that central heating return and water main, I suppose, is it? Perhaps one thing worth trying is just, I can switch the central heating on. The hot water tap is still running, I can hear it. I'm fairly certain that yeah, nothing's changing with these pipes. Now that's interesting. We've got a button on I presume it's the thermostat receiver which communicates with the boiler. It's got Honeywell Home written on it. I can show you. Usually when I press this button, it fires the central heating, and the radiator symbol appears there, and that's interesting because it's decided. Oh no, sorry, I'm getting myself muddled again. Of course, hot water will stay on, won't it? Well, let me turn off the tap. As they say, a little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing. So there are no taps on and no hot water being drawn, so not quite sure what the boiler's up to. I suppose without it flowing it will warm up. So the central heating has kicked in. Yeah, already the flow and return pipes for the central heating for the aqua air are getting almost too hot to touch. And I would say no change to the hot water, the domestic hot water outlet. It's still slightly warm as it was when it was trying to heat the water, but these central heating pipes are far too hot to touch now. I remember when you were here, the central heating temperature set to 80, which I seem to remember you thinking perhaps it was a bit high, but it's set at that just simply because I think that's what I'm sure the manual for the aqua air recommends that. But anyway, so what might be interesting is if I turn this is starting to sort of try and regulate now at 80 degrees for the aqua air, but if I turn, yeah, so it's on 2 flames now. Usually once it's been running a couple of minutes and got the water up to temperature, it sort of ticks over on the lowest flame. Yeah. And I can hear the aqua air warm air fan picking up downstairs. So yeah, the central heating's working as well, the same as it always has actually. This is exactly as I've seen it. Yeah, it'll just tick along, keeping it at 80. I'm going to switch the hot water tap back on just to see how that affects things. Okay. You can probably hear the tap running. I'll leave it running because I've got a feeling it takes a while now for the boiler to pick it up. I'll close the bathroom door so we can hear. So the hot water tap is running still, nearly fully open. Yeah, so the central heating's still on, as you can see, but the domestic hot water outlet is back to stone cold because I guess there's no water being heated whatsoever, just flowing straight through. And I'm wondering if it's going to even start. I think what I'll do again is switch the hot water tap off and on a couple of times and just see if we can get it to override. Back off and then on again. Well, it's not having any of it anymore. I'll switch the heating off. I've just pressed the button to do it manually. That's interesting. All I did was close the bathroom door. The tap hasn't changed. Now it did trigger and now it's gone off again. But the hot water tap is definitely still flowing. I didn't do anything to trigger that. I'm just watching. Okay, I think this is doing the same thing as before. It may or may not continue to try and heat the water on this very low setting. I'm going to switch the hot water tap back off, and then I'll come and switch the heating back on just to have a listen. Let's get a bit closer. Now the hot water tap's off. It's still running, the boiler. Doesn't seem to switch off in a hurry. Not sure if that's normal actually. I don't think so. Crikey, I've just realised this is getting on for half an hour, so I would be amazed if you're still watching. So there we are. Once it stops trying to heat the water, the heating has come back on. That second button down on the right there is calling for it as it's lit, the override, and it's trying to get it back up to 80, which it will, I'm sure. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I'll speak to you when I can. Hope this was helpful. That's everything off now, and it's just back to waiting.